Hey everyone, welcome back to the Deep Dive.
It's great to be back.
We talk a lot on this show about becoming better thinkers, better learners.
Yeah, we do.
But what about becoming better communicators?
I like it. Communication is key.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't matter how much you know.
Right.
If you can't get your point across clearly and concisely, people aren't going to get it.
No, they won't.
And that's where this idea of word economy comes in.
Exactly. It's all about saying more with less.
And making sure that your message actually sticks.
Hits home.
That's the goal for today's deep dive. At
And
least.
it's good to me.
We're going to really dissect this concept,
Go
see what it's all about, why it matters to you, the listener.
Yeah, for sure.
And most importantly, how you can start using it today to supercharge your communication. We dug into some pretty fascinating research and examples for this one.
I think people will be surprised how much of a difference this can make.
Right, like a small tweak with huge implications.
Totally. It's not just about sounding smarter. It's about actually being understood.
Okay, so first things first, let's define what we mean by word economy. I feel like some people might think it's just about being brief.
Well, it is in a way, but it's more nuanced than that.
Yeah, there's a strategy to it.
Absolutely. It's really about using the fewest words possible, but without sacrificing clarity or impact. Every word needs to pull its weight.
So it's not about oversimplification. It's about being intentional with each word.
Precisely. Think of it like this.
Okay.
You're a sculptor,
Yeah.
and you're chipping away at a block of marble.
Okay.
You're not just randomly hacking away at it.
Right.
You're carefully removing what's not needed to reveal the form within.
Interesting analogy.
With word economy, you're doing the same thing. You're shaping your message by eliminating what's unnecessary so the core idea shines through.
Got it. So it's about precision, clarity, and intentionality.
Exactly.
Okay, so now that we have a working definition, let's talk about why this even matters.
Yeah.
Why should our listeners, who are already pretty sharp and insightful people,
Yeah.
why should they care about this?
It's all about maximizing your impact, right? Think about it. We live in a world of information overload.
Oh yeah, for sure.
People are bombarded with messages constantly. Emails, social media, articles, you name it.
It's never ending.
And attention spans, well, they're not getting any longer.
Right.
So if you want to get your message across, you have to cut through the noise.
Make that stick.
Exactly. And word economy is how you do that. It helps you to communicate clearly and concisely so your message is actually heard and understood. It respects your audience's time and attention.
Because nobody wants to listen to someone ramble on and on.
Exactly. Get to the point, make it impactful, and people will remember what you said.
So it's not just about saving time.
No.
It's about making sure your message resonates.
Exactly.
It's about having influence.
That's a great way to put it.
Now, we came across a really interesting example in our research about the whole urgency thing. Like when you need someone to take action quickly.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Can you walk us through that?
Sure. So imagine you need to tell your team that they need to take action immediately on something.
Okay. High stakes.
You could say something like, "It is absolutely essential that we make sure to take action on this as soon as possible."
Kind of a mouthful.
Right. But you could also just say, "We must act now."
Boom. Way more direct.
Right. Both sentences convey urgency, but the second one is so much more powerful and concise.
It cuts to the chase.
And that's what word economy is all about.
Okay, so we've established that word economy is important.
Yep.
But how do we actually put it into practice? Like, what are some concrete things our listeners can do?
Well, there are a few key strategies that you can start using right away.
Okay, lay them on us.
The first one is to eliminate unnecessary words.
Okay, like what?
I mean, those filler words and phrases that we all use, things like just, very, really, actually, in order to.
Now that you mention it, I am kind of guilty of overusing those.
We all do it, but those words often don't add any real meaning to your sentences. They just clutter them up.
So cut the fat.
Exactly. For example, instead of saying, "I really think that we should focus on our goals more carefully," you could just say, "We should focus on our goals."
Much cleaner.
Right, same message, but more direct and impactful.
Okay, so eliminate unnecessary words. What else?
The second tip is to use strong verbs.
Okay, I can see how that would help.
Strong verbs are more active and dynamic. They paint a clearer picture in the reader's mind. They also often allow you to say more with fewer words.
So instead of saying, "she made a suggestion," you could say, "she proposed."
Exactly. Proposed is a much stronger and more specific verb than made a suggestion.
Okay, got it. Eliminate unnecessary words, use strong verbs. What's the third tip?
Combine short sentences. Often, you can take 2 or 3 short sentences and combine them into one longer, more complex sentence without losing clarity.
Interesting. So instead of saying he was tired, he decided to rest, you could say exhausted, he decided to rest.
Perfect. It's more concise and it flows better.
Okay, those are 3 really practical tips that anyone can start using today.
Absolutely.
But are there any common mistakes or pitfalls to watch out for when we're trying to be more concise?
Yeah, there are a couple of things to keep in mind. One is that you don't want to oversimplify to the point where you lose meaning or nuance.
Right, so it's not about dumbing things down.
Exactly. It's about finding that balance between conciseness and clarity.
So you might need to use more words to explain a complex idea.
Right. And the other thing is to make sure you're not cutting so much that you lose crucial context or information.
Okay, so don't sacrifice clarity for brevity.
Right. The goal is to be concise, but also complete.
Got it. It's about finding that sweet spot.
Exactly.
Okay, so now let's talk about how word economy plays out in real-world situations. I know our research highlighted some specific examples, like in business emails.
Oh yeah, email's a great example. People are so busy these days. Nobody wants to wade through a long, rambling email.
For sure. So how can we apply word economy to make our emails more effective?
Well, think about the typical email. It often starts with something like, I hope this email finds you well.
Right, the classic opener.
And then it goes on to say something like, I wanted to reach out to you today to follow up on our conversation regarding the project we discussed.
So much preamble.
Right. But you could just say, following up on our conversation about the project, I'd appreciate your thoughts.
Much more to the point.
And it respects the reader's time.
Okay, that's a great example. What about something like advertising?
Oh, advertising is all about word economy. Think about the most memorable slogans. They're usually short, punchy, and to the point.
Like, just do it.
Exactly. Or think different.
Those are classics.
And they work because they're so concise and memorable.
Okay, so let's wrap this up. What's the main takeaway you want our listeners to walk away with?
I think the most important thing is to remember that word economy is a skill. It's something you can develop and improve over time.
So it's not like you're either born with it or you're not.
Exactly. And the more you practice it, the better you'll get at it.
So what's the one question our listeners should ask themselves every time they're communicating?
Can I say this in fewer words?
Simple, but powerful.
Right. If you can make that a habit, you'll be amazed at how much more effective your communication becomes.
I love that. And to leave our listeners with something to ponder, how do you think practicing word economy might change how others perceive you?
That's a great question.
Do you think it makes you seem more confident?
I think it could, yeah.
More knowledgeable?
Maybe.
Definitely more efficient.
For sure. It's all about making a strong impression.
So food for thought for our listeners. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into word economy. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for having me.
See ya.